Judas Iscariot, one of the 12 apostles of Jesus, remains a figure shrouded in mystery and infamy. His name is synonymous with betrayal, yet his life and role in the biblical narrative are complex and multifaceted. As one of the 12, Judas held a position of immense privilege and responsibility, chosen by Jesus himself to spread his teachings. This selection was not random. It was a deliberate choice, indicating that Judas had qualities that Jesus found valuable for his mission. He was entrusted with the group's communal purse, highlighting a level of trust placed upon him by Jesus and his fellow disciples. This role was significant, as it involved managing the finances for the group, ensuring they had the resources needed for their travels and ministry. Despite this, Judas would forever be known for one act: his betrayal of Jesus to the Roman authorities. This act of treachery is one of the most infamous in history, marking Judas as a symbol of ultimate betrayal. This act of betrayal, a pivotal moment in Christian history, set in motion the chain of events that would lead to Jesus' crucifixion. The arrest in the Garden of Gethsemane, facilitated by Judas's kiss, is a moment etched in the collective memory of Christianity. The Gospels offer limited insight into Judas's motivations, often portraying him as driven by greed, symbolized by the 30 pieces of silver he received for his treachery. However, some scholars suggest that his actions might have been influenced by disillusionment or a misguided attempt to force Jesus into a position of power. Regardless of his motives, Judas's actions sealed Jesus' fate and cast a long shadow over his own legacy. His story serves as a cautionary tale about the consequences of betrayal and the complexities of human nature, reminding us that even those closest to us can sometimes act in ways that are difficult to understand. The story of Judas's betrayal unfolds during the tumultuous events of Passover week in Jerusalem. This was a time when the city was teeming with pilgrims from all over, coming to celebrate one of the most significant festivals in the Jewish calendar. The air was thick with anticipation and religious fervor as people gathered to commemorate their ancestors' liberation from slavery in Egypt. Tensions were high as Jesus, increasingly popular among the common people, drew the ire of the Jewish religious authorities. His teachings and miracles had garnered a massive following, and his entry into Jerusalem had been marked by jubilant crowds hailing him as the Messiah. This growing influence posed a direct challenge to the established religious order. The religious leaders perceived him as a threat to their power and sought to eliminate him. They convened secret meetings discussing how to arrest Jesus without causing an uproar among the people. Their fear of losing control over the masses drove them to desperate measures. Judas, for reasons that remain unclear, chose this moment to betray his master. Some speculate that he was disillusioned with Jesus' refusal to lead a political uprising against the Romans, while others believe he was motivated by greed or personal grievances. Whatever his reasons, his decision would set in motion a chain of events that would lead to one of history's most infamous betrayals. The Gospels recount how he approached the chief priests, offering to deliver Jesus into their hands in exchange for money. The sum of 30 pieces of silver was agreed upon, a paltry amount for the life of a man who had been his teacher and friend. This transaction sealed the fate of Jesus and marked Judas as the ultimate traitor in the eyes of history. They agreed, and a plan was hatched to seize Jesus under the cover of darkness. The religious leaders knew that arresting him publicly could incite a riot, so they opted for a more clandestine approach. They would take him when he was most vulnerable, away from the adoring crowds. Judas, knowing the movements of Jesus and his disciples, led an armed mob to the Garden of Gethsemane, where Jesus had gone to pray. This secluded spot, a place of solace and reflection for Jesus, would become the scene of his betrayal. The mob, armed with swords and clubs, was ready to apprehend him. There, in the stillness of the night, Judas identified Jesus with a kiss, a gesture of friendship turned act of betrayal. This kiss, meant to be a sign of affection, became the signal for the mob to arrest Jesus. The tragic irony of this act would resonate through the ages, symbolizing the ultimate betrayal of trust and loyalty. The Gospel of Matthew provides a chilling account of Judas's demise immediately following his betrayal of Jesus. Overcome with remorse and despair after witnessing the consequences of his actions, Judas attempts to return the 30 pieces of silver to the chief priests. He confesses his sin, declaring, "I have betrayed innocent blood." However, his remorse is met with indifference and he is dismissed by the priests. Driven to desperation by his guilt and the rejection of those he had conspired with, Judas throws the money into the temple and flees the city. Then there are two different accounts in the Bible to what happened to Judas immediately after Jesus' crucifixion. The two accounts of his death. Matthew 27:5. Judas hangs himself. According to Matthew's account, Judas goes and hangs himself out of despair. The exact location is not mentioned in Matthew, but later the field where his body is found is called the Field of Blood, Akeldama in Aramaic. In the book of Acts, Peter recounts Judas's death in a way that suggests something even more horrifying. With the payment he received for his wickedness, Judas bought a field. There he fell headlong, his body burst open and all his intestines spilled out. Acts 1:18. This description is disturbing, suggesting that Judas's body decomposed after the hanging, and since his body was not found for a long time, his body ripped open, leaving his intestines to come out. The image of his lifeless body swaying in the wind is a stark reminder of the depths of his despair and the tragic consequences of his actions. The text hints at the violence of the act, suggesting the desperation and finality that gripped Judas in his final moments. This vivid imagery, while disturbing, serves to emphasize the gravity of Judas's betrayal and the profound sense of remorse that led him to take his own life. The bloody details of Acts account. The author of Acts doesn't hold back in describing the gruesome details of Judas's death. He paints a vivid picture of Judas's body, broken and mangled, with his internal organs gushing out. The language is graphic and unsettling, emphasizing the violence of his demise. This gruesome end, according to Acts, is not merely a physical death, but also a spiritual one, a manifestation of divine judgment upon Judas for his betrayal of Jesus. The grotesque imagery serves to underscore the gravity of Judas's sin and the horrific consequences of his actions, serving as a warning to all who would betray the trust placed in them. Judas's legacy damned or misunderstood. The legacy of Judas Iscariot is complex and contested. In Christian tradition, he is often viewed as the ultimate traitor, condemned for eternity for his role in Jesus' death. His name has become synonymous with betrayal, and his story serves as a cautionary tale about the dangers of greed and treachery. However, some scholars and theologians have sought to understand Judas in a more nuanced light. They point to the limited information available about his motivations and the possibility that he may have been driven by misguided zeal or a belief that he was fulfilling a divine plan. Conclusion: a chilling tale and its implications. The story of Judas Iscariot, regardless of which version of his death one accepts, remains a chilling tale of betrayal, despair, and divine judgment. Judas, one of the 12 apostles, is infamous for betraying Jesus Christ for 30 pieces of silver. This act of treachery has been depicted in countless works of art, literature, and religious texts, each adding layers to the narrative of his life and death. It offers a stark reminder of the human capacity for both good and evil and the profound consequences that can flow from our choices. The duality of Judas's actions serves as a powerful symbol of the moral struggles that define the human experience. His story forces us to confront the uncomfortable reality that within each of us lies the potential for both great virtue and great vice. While Judas's legacy will forever be intertwined with his act of betrayal, his story also invites us to contemplate themes of forgiveness, redemption, and the enduring mystery of human nature. The narrative of Judas does not end with his betrayal. It extends into the realms of remorse and the possibility of redemption. This complexity adds depth to his character and offers a broader perspective on the nature of sin and forgiveness. It challenges us to examine our own capacity for both loyalty and betrayal, and to consider the complexities of faith, doubt, and the choices we make in the face of difficult circumstances. The story of Judas Iscariot is not just a historical account, but a mirror reflecting our own struggles with morality, faith, and the human condition. It urges us to look inward and question how we might act when faced with our own moments of moral crisis. If you enjoyed this video, please like and share with family and friends. And if you haven't already, come on over and join our growing family by subscribing to our channel. May God bless you in all your endeavors. Thank you for watching.